Welcome you this morning at the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service First Stakeholders Engagement, together with our partners, UNDP and UNFPA, as we prepare for Namibia to become the newest member of the Youthconnekt Africa project. I know you have busy schedules and that you have had to forego some equally important business and official duties to be here with us this morning. We are indeed privileged to have you join us as our key stakeholders in youth empowerment. Please allow me at this moment to say a special word of thanks to the UNDP and UNFPA agency for partnering with the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service in making this event possible. We wholeheartedly welcome you all here as our stakeholders and appreciate your genuine efforts in making a positive impact in the lives of our Namibian youth. As most of you are aware, that our Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service is tasked with the important mandate of developing and empowering the Namibian youth. Therefore, it is very crucial that we have to be on the lookout for new and innovative ways aimed at improving the livelihood of our young people in all spheres of life, be it socially, be it academically, and of course, be it economically. It is with this in mind that we rely on our development partners and international networks to give the youth of Namibia access to fresh, innovative ideas, projects, and business opportunities here at home first, on the African continent, and beyond. Youthconnekt Africa is such an opportunity which our youth can leverage on to make a difference in their daily life. Directors of ceremony, distinguished invited stakeholders and guests, I do not intend on making a long speech this morning. So please allow me to share with you a quote from our former Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan. He said, and I quote, "Young people should be at the forefront of global change and innovation. Empowered, they can be key agents for development and peace. If, however, they are left on society's margins, all of us will be impoverished. Let us ensure that all young people have every opportunity to participate fully in the lives of their societies." End of quote. As we start our program this morning, let us be reminded that the youth need all of us today to prepare them for a brighter and prosperous tomorrow. Once again, we at the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service and our development partners, UNDP and UNFPA, are grateful that you accepted our invitation to come and help us in shaping the future of our youth through the Youthconnekt Africa initiative. We are looking forward to the inputs, views, advices you will be making to ensure the successful implementation of this noble initiative. You are all welcome, and thank you very much once again for coming, and enjoy the rest of the engagement to follow. Thank you.
The Namibia chapter. So the Youthconnekt Africa is having the mission or the vision of connecting African youth for socio-economic transformation, and it is a pan-African platform that seeks to empower young people through enhancing their knowledge, their experiences, and skills, while also investing in their ideas, innovations, and initiatives so that Africa make progress in harnessing its democratic dividend by 2030. Where does it begin? The Youthconnekt Africa is an initiative that was endorsed by the Africa Union's Executive Council in 2018 to accelerate the implementation of the Africa Union's Charter. The initiative has been adopted by 28 countries so far, and Namibia is one of the latest. And there is a Youthconnekt Africa Hub, which is the secretariat established by the member states and is hosted by the government of Rwanda, and it's supported by UNDP. So we have other African countries that are part of the chapter: Zambia, Rwanda, the Gambia, Liberia, Senegal, Cape Verde, Ghana, Uganda, Cameroon, Guinea, Zimbabwe, Madagascar, Togo, DRC, Burkina Faso, Chad, Gabon, Congo, Brazil, Botswana, Sao Tome, Namibia, Malawi, Comoros, and Sierra Leone. So those are the current member states for the Youthconnekt Africa. What are the goals of Youthconnekt Africa? It's made up of 5 goals that it's trying to achieve. One is jobs and entrepreneurship, aiming to create 10 million jobs for youth across Africa. 2 is education and skills, empowering 25 million youth with skills, civic participation and leadership, planning to have at least 1 million young leaders generated or skills enhanced, technology and innovation, planning to connect and digitally empower 100 million young Africans, allowing skills to be transferred to their local communities as well, and then also closing the gender gap, where it aims to really develop or enhance sustainable initiatives and policies that reduce gender inequality in education, in leadership, technology, and jobs. Those are the goals for Youthconnekt Africa. And how they plan to achieve, or how we plan as member states to achieve these goals, is by shaping policies, by creating and improving existing youth programs, and also by strengthening partnership with either governments, individuals, civil society, development partners, private sectors, CBOs, academias, and other stakeholders as well. And I think that is the main aim why we are also here today. The Youthconnekt Africa, the Youthconnekt chapter for Namibia, we are introducing it, and this is a platform that aims to connect youth with their peers, with their leaders, with their role models, skills and resources to promote employability, access to finance, civic engagement, and entrepreneurship opportunities. The platform taps into the resources that is the youth by creating opportunities and skills needed to improve their nation and also community socio-economic status. And it also then will provide networks for young people all over Namibia and also across to share their experiences, knowledge, and ideas on how the youth can positively impact development. When did we officially join? Namibia joined the Youthconnekt family in May 2022, and after that we had a mapping on the existing programs and also stakeholders, and we now at the point where we're having a stakeholders meeting to sensitize and also inform our stakeholders, youth stakeholders, on what Youthconnekt Namibia chapter is aiming to achieve and how they can come on board and assist. And then national awareness raising on Youthconnekt that will be ongoing, and we're planning to have a launch of the Namibian chapter by at least October 2022, and also participation in the Youthconnekt Summit in Rwanda Kigali. That will be 13 to 15 October 2022. And then, hereby then, when we talk about the launch, we want to establish our own vision, mission, and objective for the Youthconnekt Namibia chapter. And also, then we sort of established a Youthconnekt hub or center or corner in the existing structures within the country, so that all the engagements, all the networking, information sharing continues for the youth. That is the plan, and the plan continues that Youthconnekt be used as a tool to contribute to the success of the already existing programs by connecting young Namibians with like-minded youth in other countries to engage and exchange their knowledge, skills, and experiences, and also to connect our young people to the leadership of this country. With that, thank you very much, and over to you, Mr. Director. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rosanna Kagure from Project Hope Namibia. I have a question regarding the implementation of Youthconnekt on the ground. What is the profile of partners, and what is the methodology of the creation of the 5 roles of Youthconnekt? Thank you. My question is regarding to the profile of partners that implement the Youthconnekt, and how the methodology of the 5 goals is set to be met.
My name is Clyde. I'm from African Youth and Adolescent and Population Development. I'm also here to represent Namibian Planned Parenthood Association, which is NAPA. I think for me to be a comment or a question, but I'll put it as a comment, because I understood that the Youthconnekt is still yet to be implemented in Namibia. And there's a few things that you mentioned that really caught my attention in your very fast presentation. It was very difficult to write, to note. But however, they say the creation of 10 million jobs. I'm not saying that's going to be in Namibia, but I'm saying that's across Africa. Namibia is one of them as well. That really caught my attention because of really what's happening in the country, especially in Namibia. And taking what the Master of Ceremony was talking about, that young people are advancing very fast. So we need to be innovative. And for me, I don't think it's innovation that we need. I think we need to provide platforms, because the spaces have been shrinking when it comes to young people, either the ratio of self-employment or just employment at large. Also, in regards to civic participation and leadership, that's really also caught my eyes, on my attention rather. I would really like to say that, and I'm happy that the forefront of this implementation of Youthconnekt is really the UN agencies, and as a young person that has been working very closely with the UN agencies in the country, I think I'll be very excited to see the step that the UN agencies are really going to take in regards to making sure that young people are employed, not only by the Namibian government, but also by their officers, and also in terms of leadership. Thank you.
Thank you so much. May I be allowed to speak while sitting?
Independent Namibia, freedom is here.
No, but I'm still young.
You will probably be the first picture that is sitting and talking.
Right. I'm Julius Mifikwa from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture. I would like to register my appreciation that yes, we are thinking for the young people, because without them, then you can't talk of future development. Yeah, well, maybe I must indicate that maybe good things are yet to come. The launch will be done, and then we can start, kicking the ball. As I said, I'm from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture. We are more into adolescents and young people post-development programs. So implementing the curriculum, and the curriculum is actually talking about skills. As in the basic education, we move young people now to VTCs and to tertiary institutions and they become members of the clients for the Ministry of Youth. So when you look at education and youth, we are one. So you can't really separate us. So I just would like to say, as we are going to launch, let's strengthen the ministerial collaboration. Let's strengthen that part. And the most important area is on the ground in our regions. We have our youth centers. We have our regional youth-led programs. Youth-led programs are there. We have our, I should indicate that we have regional school health task forces that we have established. We have RACOPs, we have CACOPs. So let's really plan together. That's actually my request. Let's come together around the table so that we really address all those good ideas presented there, for us to make sure that the skills transfer is happening, because that's the most critical part. Our youth need to be empowered. You can't empower them without giving them knowledge and skills. But we can only do that if we are coordinating, we are partnering, we are mobilizing resources, and then we are programming together. And that will definitely help us to achieve the Youthconnekt objectives, as other countries are doing in Africa. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Of Youthconnekt as well, to help me where I'm not going to do justice. So I will try to answer on the first question, the profiles of partners of the Youthconnekt. So this is the very first stakeholders engagement involving partners when we try to map the partners that work or stakeholders that really work with the youth. And of course, some are still not here. Some probably were invited, but due to other equally important engagements did not be here. But then there are those that definitely probably were not invited, and we look forward to also have recommendations from this engagement today to include those. In terms of the methodology of implementing the 5 goals, the 5 goals are for the Youthconnekt Africa, but yes, we do know that Namibia is mostly featured in all the 5, but we also very much governed by the National Youth Policy for Namibia, and it does very well align with these goals. But there are plans, and there is an action plan for the youth policy, and I think we'll follow the same modality and not come up with something completely new, for it will take too long. I hope that I have done justice. I'll hand over to the ministry as well as to the UNFPA also to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you for the question. If I may add, it's really exciting that we are now finally talking about Youthconnekt Africa. I mean, Mano can relate. We started way back around 2018, and finally we are here. I just want to supplement some of the responses that were given by Mano, starting with the question from the colleague from Project Hope. In fact, we are already implementing programs together. What the Youthconnekt aim to achieve in terms of partnership, your question of partnership, is we want to strengthen the coordinated part, where we are not going to reinvent the wheel. We are not introducing new programs, but what we are saying is, let's rather work smart. With other words, the Youthconnekt, then the partners should be the youth empowerment ecosystem players, like yourself. In terms of the methodology that the Youthconnekt Africa and Youthconnekt Namibia Chapter aim, how we intend to achieve those 5 goals. It's one of the activities as we roll out the Youthconnekt Namibia is to customize it so that it addresses our challenges, so that it creates opportunities for our youth. So we'll need to customize it, and I'm very glad to see that in one of the activities that we'll embark upon will be the regional consultation. So I'm sure that with those consultations, ideas will be generated in terms of how do we then intend to come up with a methodology. The comment from Climate, it was more a comment, and I think really we appreciate, especially the development partners that are augmenting the efforts of government, and we know that the challenges of youth unemployment is something that keeps us awake at night. So this really, again, I think is like what I just responded in terms of the partnership. Lastly, the question, not the question, but the comment from my brother, Tate Julius. We work well together in terms of the adolescent and youth. One of the key areas that the Youthconnekt also targets, as I indicated, it targets a wide range of governance, skills, education and skills, and I'm happy that you mentioned that. And since this is a socio-economic transformation program, it then also covers our very important topic that me and you enjoy, the sexual reproductive health activities. So it's really connecting the dots, as it says, so that we connect all the aspects that pertain to youth development. And it also resonates well with our policy, youth policy, where we are saying we are dedicating a decade of youth mainstreaming. And that's what it is essentially all about. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, allow me to break the protocol and speak after you. I just want to make a quick comment, particularly on the comment that was raised by Climate on the UN agencies' participation in ensuring that the youth participation is taking place clearly in the Youthconnekt program. Already the UN agencies will try to amplify existing interventions that are of course coming from various funding streams to ensure that we continue with the asset building for young people, for adolescents and young people, and ensuring that their potentials are fulfilled in terms of the skills development, in terms of their welfare, and of course the participations when it comes to the actual UN agencies you rightly mentioned in the workplaces. We have interns that are within our meets in the UN House, both UNDP and UNFP, and we have also young people that are participating in the work stream. So we'll continue to ensure that we meet the objectives and support the government, and I like the coordination that was mentioned by Mr. Julius, support the government in general and under the leadership of the Ministry of Youth, but in coordination with other various actors of government and of course civil society and private sectors. Thank you.
We could probably go for another round of questions now that we got the ice broken.
I just wanted to find out some success stories from other African countries in terms of what they have achieved since Namibia just joined this year. Perhaps you could just tell us a brief of if you have success stories from other African countries and how Namibia will be learning from that. And I don't know how I can frame this question. We hear so much of new programs that are being brought about, and listening from what the Deputy Minister said and what Manu said. Is it Manu? You are not trying to reinvent the wheel in terms of the policies that are already there with the ministry. But I'm just trying to get, or I was trying to get from the conversations that you just had, in how is Youthconnekt going to change in terms of, sure, how do I put this question? Okay, how is the program going to be different from what the ministry already has in place to make sure that you are going to implement the programs that you have and also just tackling some of the issues of the youth. I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Sorry, I think my hand was very high. This is again a question and comment only. And thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister. Just to really highlight that there won't be any reinvention of a will. We are going to strengthen what already existing there. My question is, will there be a task force or a technical working group or a certain committee that will be established that will have representatives from all different stakeholders, whether civil society, whether government, whether UN, that will be ensuring that the sensitization, first of all, is ensured when it comes to really going as far as grassroots level, engaging young people from all corners of Namibia about the Youthconnekt, so that if I'm sitting in Kamagoro, in Kavango West, I understand what Youthconnekt is. Reason why I'm saying this or why I'm posing these questions because this year, the National Youth Week, there was a very good presentation, I'm not attacking, from the UNDP regarding how can a young person become a volunteer, how you can register and apply for volunteerism at the UN, and how good it is to be a volunteer at the UN, and it's paid volunteerism. It was very exciting to hear that. The sad thing was that you can only access these applications online. So if I'm sitting somewhere in Karasberg and I do not have a smartphone, I'm already left out. The other thing is this, the requirement is a degree that is needed. Again, I hope Youthconnekt is really going to unpack and sort of like relax some of these requirements and make sure there's proper sensitization and consultation with young people. Thank you.
New era. I wanted to find out about the modalities, especially regarding the creation of jobs. And there's a specific number which was highlighted, which is 10 million. Have there been avenues already identified in terms of the sectors where there's a niche in the country when it comes to youth job creation? And when are we expected to have such engagements in other regions as well? I think the gentleman from the Napa also touched on that.
Thank you.
My name is Sarah Matis from Namibia Organization of Youth with Disability. I just want to encourage during the implementation of the policy, I think people must include more persons with disability to educate the society on the right terminology to be used, because in disability movement there are some terminology that is not right to persons with disability. So we must educate the society on the right terminology. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I have a cold. Is it on? My name is Bernadette Harrises. I'm with Project Hope Namibia. We want to applaud the UN for really coming up with this Youthconnekt. I think it's critical if we want to have dividends, because at the moment it looks as if we're going to have a youth bulge, but if we don't use what we have to our benefit, then we will not be able to reap the benefits or the dividends. Now, looking at all the activities that happen in country, there are different role players that contribute to all of those 5, what do they call, goals. I'm just wondering, like others, what will we do differently? There's so many coordination mechanisms at different platforms. There's for HIV, there is for youth, there's for gender and children. What will we do differently to make sure we connect the dots that we need to connect? Otherwise, we will have all the issues of exclusion. We will not find the most vulnerable youth that we need to create a platform for, not the ones with the degrees and not the ones with what but the most vulnerable youth, that they can also participate and benefit from these Youthconnekt goals. There was something else I wanted to say, now I've forgotten. But I think it's critical that we really look into it deeply, that we see how we can move forward and really connect the dots. There are good examples in country, there are innovations happening, there are different sectors that are contributing. And how are we going to pull those dots together so that we can have, or attain the goals that we set for ourselves? If we want, I don't know, of the 10 million and 100, the numbers that were mentioned, what is our contribution to those targets that has been set? So let's connect the dots. Thank you.
My name is Franz, and my apology to the leadership. I came in late, but what I want to perhaps say, for me really, how best should we approach youth inclusivity? I think one of the ideas perhaps we can look at, I totally understand the framework around youth development in the country. And I think the framework that we have is based on government. So we need to find a way, a framework outside the government sector. It's not all the framework that we have, it's encouraging to address youth issues. The NYC framework, it works to its best under the government system, but we need to have a private system framework that still deals with youth employment or youth opportunities. So like Youthconnekt, how I conceptualize in my research, it works best, but it can also work much better if we have a different framework. So I think we must, it's not all program, all projects are fitting to our framework that we have. And that is one of the mistakes. We want just to box everything in that framework. And it's duplicate, and it's not sustainable. And some of the time, we don't really derive value that we are seeking, because the framework is not meant for some of these projects. So my appeal to the leadership is to look at different framework that is conducive some of these projects and programs. Thank you.
You are putting me at a very difficult spot, but again, please, colleagues, this is for us and not for me. I will give you a snap of some of the success stories, the colleague from NBC, just brief ones that I remember. So there were, for example, in Kenya, they started creating films through online platforms or online engagements and collaborations to educate other community local youth, and I think they had one called Local Marathon, whereby they were looking at they were looking for like-minded youth to connect all over, and as a result, then they will do these recordings and they will share so that everyone gets the memo firsthand. And then there was something in Uganda, that's Smart Girls Foundation, where they did smart bags for girls. It's called the Menstruation Hygiene Packer with educational programming. It was designed with and for girls, and it's a 3-type sort of bag. It has a toilet bag inside. It has a solar smart bag on top to help read, apparently, the girl child to read, and it was also waterproof, made out of recycled or recycled plastics. And it's also been now duplicated in South Africa and also in Ghana as of last year. I think that was one of the experiences they shared during the summit last year. One also that was very well coming out was the Itumiali, something that UNFPA and African was doing for the in-school and out-school youth that dealt with mentorship for girls on different roles. So many countries took it up as well, and there were those that were giving testimonies on how they learned about it and how they plan to escalate that. I hope that helps, and that's what I remember. But again, also, the Deputy Minister might also remember something and share. I'm not sure on how Youthconnekt is different or how is it going to be different. As I think mentioned already, it's not a new, we are not going to do a new program. What happened was there was a mapping of existing programs, and one of the ideas is that looking at the existing programs, what can be revived, what can be changed, what can be escalated. I think that is the idea, you know. Maybe what challenges that this nice, amazing program has, and how can we help? Is it financial? Is it technical? Is it, you know, and then how do we maybe make it reach not only 4 regions, but 14 regions rather. So in short, I think from my own desk, that's what I can say. In terms of the task force and committee, to ensure that you know, everyone gets the message, I'll leave that up to the ministry. Job creation sectors. Yeah, this one. Of course, yes. Every country is given an opportunity or a chance to localize Youthconnekt to your need, you know. So maybe currently, you know, maybe governance is not an issue in Namibia, but it's an issue somewhere else. But we're looking at different sectors as per, you know, our existing identified challenges that we have. And I think we are not yet there as we speak. Of course, we have some in the applications that we use and so forth, but I think we still have a way to go in terms of the sectors that we are going to really look at. One of the very that I know is the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. You know, that one we are going definitely to help or assist youth be able to trade, you know, across as well, and also come up with ways on how to design their business and plans. The comment on the inclusion of persons with disabilities, on the right terminologies to use during the implementation of the Youthconnekt chapter, I think that is very, very important and well noted. Definitely, we need that education every now and then. We try by all means as UN and UNDP in particular. We had a project that was specifically designed to contribute to the enhancement of this public awareness and terminology for persons with disabilities. We are aware at a very minimum that we shouldn't even abbreviate that term. But we thank you very much, and we take note of that, and we will try. But please, again, continue, you know, raising that issue. I think it's very important. How to connect the dots? What is our contribution to the goals? I think I'll leave that to the ministry as well, and adding on there. And then I think the 7th question is also talking about the issue of inclusivity. The private sector, the framework, the different frameworks, I think that is very important, and I could see my deputy minister nodding her head right there, and I think she will have an answer for us. With that, I think I have covered quite all of them, giving, of course, my seniors and the rest of the colleagues to come in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mano. That was a very good response. I must appreciate that you've covered everything. So I will just be coming in to complement some of the issues which have already been mentioned. Firstly, let me just begin by saying that today's engagement is supposed to be an interaction, all right? It's not really, I mean, they titled it question answers, but this was supposed to be an interactive session. The MC also mentioned that it is more in terms of solutions oriented. We haven't come here with a ready-made menu already. The idea is for us to collaborate, to co-create this strategy as we move further. We already have a frame. The Youthconnekt is a platform. It's a pan-African platform. So that is what is different for us here in Namibia. We have our youth policy, which has just come out. It's very comprehensive with its various pillars. It's tried to bring all of that together. So the idea is not to come up with another set of interventions, as Mano and the Minister have already referred to that. The idea of the Youthconnekt is that it is a platform. It allows Namibian youth an opportunity to engage with other youth across the region. And that is where the success stories are coming out from, where, say, youth in Uganda, Kenya are connecting with the youth in Ghana, right? And coming up with products, innovations, solutions to their everyday problems. That is the value added of the Youthconnekt program. So we design our own, how we do it, how we offer our youth that platform, right, to engage with other youth. The role of the UN agencies, and I dare say also of the ministry, is more as a facilitator and coordinators. The actual work has to be carried out, has to be led by the youth themselves. And to this I pick up on that whole issue about raising that awareness, of making the youth aware of these kind of platforms and opportunities where they have something to showcase, where they have something to create, where they can connect with the youth across the continent. So that is what is different. And so this is where we have a number of programs here. And you all are here today, in fact, to sort of give us also some feedback on how things are working, how things are not working, and as somebody mentioned, how can we do things more efficiently, how can we connect the dots, how can we do things differently, right? And how do we best activate the youth inclusivity? I'm glad, my friend, you raised that issue, because youth inclusivity is the key. We are not here to sit and decide for the youth what they want or what they should have. We need to now bring them to the forefront. And that is the idea. That is the idea why you are all here. And we would really like to hear from you. We haven't come here, as I said, with ready-made ideas or solutions. We have a policy framework. Tell us what is missing in that framework. And then when we craft that implementation, what is already being implemented? What are those best practices on the ground already? What is it that we can pick up and scale? Those are the things, and as I said, we are in your hands. Mano mentioned there are some stakeholders who are here, and we thank you for that. But we also need you also to reach out to the other stakeholders that you know of, particularly the youth. We are going to be issuing a call actually to the youth to come forward on this. We are going to go out into the media. It was the minister's proposal And I think we are going to do that. We need to make the youth aware, whether through radio, whatever means, and there are these youth centers, there are those centers across. I think Namibia has an excellent infrastructure, but it is slightly underused, right? This is where we need to come together, and all stakeholders, regardless, all ministries. Youth, as I said, it's about mainstreaming into every aspect. So I don't really want to go on more in this area. There was a question in terms of job opportunities. Now, that's where all of the sectors need to come in, the private sector as well. Because unless and until we work together, where are those job opportunities coming in? I don't know whether somebody mentioned academia is here or not, but at least the Ministry of Education and the gentleman has left in any case. I had wanted to make a comment on that as well. Because this is so key. We talk about job opportunities. We are looking for jobs. Yes, we need jobs. We need to create those jobs as well. So it is in the private sector who needs to work with the academia. Are our youth receiving the proper skills? What is necessary in the era of fourth industrial revolution? Do we have all that it takes to take advantage of all of those things? What are those other skills that we have? In Namibia, we have at least 20 to 30 skills development programs. How many of those are up to standard? How are we coordinating that? How is the national qualification or the authority looking at that? Are we at that level? Or are we just ticking a box saying, oh, we are providing skills training? What kind of skills are needed by the market? What is that level of training that is being provided to the youth that makes them employable, that empowers them enough to create jobs for others as well? So those are some of the questions I think. Now I'm putting those questions to you all as stakeholders, as important stakeholders, to come forward, because this is where we need to tweak the implementation strategy or whatever, whether we go down to the regions to do it, how we are also then simultaneously. And I think, Honorable Minister, this would be my recommendation. Yes, you are talking about a task force, etc. for coordination. We don't want too many structures here. We want people to be coming forward, offering that this is my role and my responsibility, and I will deliver on this. The ministry alone cannot do this. It has to be a partnership. The UN, somebody mentioned that they're glad that UN is implementing. We are not implementing. And let me just clarify that. We are just supporting. We are facilitating. The implementation has to come from the stakeholders, from the people themselves. We can only facilitate wherever we can. So that, I think, and even for the ministry, I mean, putting the entire onus, ministry's job is policy making, they're doing it. The implementation, exactly how it is done, how the finances will come, what other support is needed, that is also somewhere where we need the partnerships, where we can see where the government, the private sector, the development partners, the UN agencies can come in and support. So I just wanted to clarify this, and I want to hear more now from you. You are the guys who are working on the ground. You are dealing every day in delivering services. Whether it is about sexual reproductive health, whether it is about skills training, whether it is about the environment, there are different NGOs. Very, very rightly said, we have these clusters, but how do you connect with the other clusters? Do you only keep to yourself? Or do you connect? Do you, for instance, ever think that no, when we are doing this work on HIV/AIDS, there are also the disability inclusion that we have to undertake? Manu mentioned we just ended the joint UN program led by UNICEF, UNFP, and UNDP on disability. We set up the National Disability Forum. We provided that capacity. We provided so much capacity building training. We even did a media training in terms of the terminology, and I'm glad you used it. The media has been trained radio and as well as television, as well as print media in terms of the disability terminology which we need to use. For our part, as I said, we are doing it. But how do you then spread that message? That is also, I think, something you need to consider. You don't need to keep all of this. If one media house has got that training, how is that media house actually reaching out to its own members? Only one person came to the training. How has that person capacitated the others within that organization? Which are the other 3 organizations that person has reached out to? So I think this is how we multiply our resources as well when we take these messages across. I think, let me stop here. I've spoken more than I intended to actually, but this is a conversation for us. And I think you should still come back and say where the issues are and where we can collectively work on. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Honorable, and the delegation sitting in front. Just an intervention. I think I followed the presentation and also the questions that were raised. Maybe just in the context of so many fragmented approaches to addressing the should I call it, the needs for the youth. There's a report called African Peer Review Mechanism that it's a chapter in Namibia. There's a report that focuses on addressing youth unemployment in Namibia. And that report addresses a lot of policy interventions, targeted policy interventions from various ministries. And it aims at harmonizing these approaches that are so much fragmented. Now, maybe the question I would like to ask is that for this purpose, Youthconnekt, how do we intend to harmonize? Because that report is critical report, it's at the highest level with now our membership on Youthconnekt. And there was a gentleman somewhere who asked a question of a youth sitting in Kabambo West, I forgot the name, who may not have a smartphone. Namangoro, what he says. How do we ensure that all these opportunities that are so much documented and that we are subscribing to, that they are really reaching the targeted beneficiaries, so that events are not only for Vindu, for those who have access to the media, but for any other youth who could even be in a desperate situation? How do we connect them and expose them to so many interventions that we really need to drive towards harmonizing, so that we don't have to be talking to so many documents, all addressing the same need? So that's my short intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Msukubili. Those are questions for women. In fact, you're supposed to be answering because you were part of the ministry. Thank you very much for highlighting the APRM. In fact, the ministry is one of the lead institutions that is reporting on the APRM recommendations. Following the review that was done, the targeted review on youth employment, the National Plan of Action was drawn. And this was tabled at cabinet endorsed, and the ministry was tasked together with NBC to implement the recommendations. So it then puts us in a very good position to also incorporate these recommendations. Remember, we are connecting dots. Remember, the emphasis really is to upscale the efforts and to coordinate all the areas that pertains to youth development. So it's also avoiding the issue of duplication and the fragmentation that you alluded to. In terms of inclusivity and how do we then reach out to the youth who are in the rural areas. In fact, one of the recommendations is something I know, those are recommendations I know out of heart again because I've worked so long with it. One of the recommendations in the National Plan of Action is the access to information. And I'm sure you have seen that the last Parliament sitting, we passed the access to information era. So we are also hoping that these are some of the mechanisms that will help us to expedite in terms of the inclusivity. But note, something worth to mention also is that we have a footprint across the country. Our youth officers, as the director of ceremony mentioned, that they are getting slower, but our youth officers are found in all regions. So for me, I think the issues of disseminating information is then covered, because we have youth multi-purpose resource centers across. We have youth centers that are equipped with the computers. In addition to that, the MICT also have what they call youth IT centers in some regions. So really, I think the issue of inclusivity is partly addressed, if not whole, in terms of how do we then ensure that this information is disseminated to the youth in the rural areas. I think in short, that will be my response.
All right, thank you very much.
Good morning once again. It's still morning, and I'm delighted to be here today. I have a speech written by Mano. And then she's very cleverly hijacked that speech by presenting first on what the Youthconnekt is. So, well, that leaves me with something else to say. Well, as you know, it's firstly, let me actually convey my deep appreciation and thanks to the Honorable Minister and her team for having convened this stakeholder consultation. Why was this so important before we actually formally launched the project? The idea, as I mentioned earlier on, was simple because, as I said, it is not something which is a one-way street. We need to have all stakeholders on board. We need to be on the same page as we move forward with this program. And I actually wouldn't even want to keep calling it a program because that confuses the picture. The Youthconnekt is a platform, as I said. This is a platform for regional engagement, so that is why it is different from all of the ongoing programs. This is how we can showcase our ongoing programs to the rest of the continent. We can share through this platform all of the best practices. We can, through this platform, learn and bring home some of the other best practices across all of these member countries of the Youthconnekt platform. Since its launch as the EU and UNDP initiative, it has actually gathered a lot of momentum with every year countries joining. Namibia, as the Honorable Minister has already alluded to, we've been at this since a number of years, but finally and again, I would really again like to thank and appreciate the leadership of the Honorable Minister, Agnes, and our own Deputy Minister, Emma, for this. And she actually undertook that trip to Ghana last year, to get first-hand in terms of what is happening at the Youthconnekt, how people are coming with the vibrancy of these platforms where the youth are actually at the forefront. And with all of that, the work started with the ministry, and I think a couple of months ago, we received that invitation for the government to join this platform. So I think let's give a round of applause to the minister for now finally coming to that stage where we can connect with the rest of the continent. So the goals are there. Everybody asked questions, how is it different? So just as I said, this was to clarify, it is a platform, there is nothing different. But yes, what we can do differently, somebody asked, very critical. What is it that we can do differently? And I don't think I am here, or Loide is here, or even the Honorable Minister is here to tell you what we can do differently. This is exactly what we wanted to hear from you as the stakeholders as we move forward. And even this is a precursor also to our planning the launch, to bringing on board all of those relevant stakeholders so that they take up their roles and responsibilities, that outreach. There was a question raised by my friend over there in terms of how do we create that awareness. Again, it's not only for the ministry or for the UN to do that. You all are also those advocates. You all are also those people who can create that awareness, right? And you should create, going down to the grassroots. And this is where we need to bring up youth. We will issue a call, as I mentioned earlier, to the youth as well. But again, it's also about how many youth will actually see the call, right? So how do we actually get to them? And this is where we need your ideas. What ideas do you have? What proposals, suggestions do you have that we can reach out to the youth? The youth officers need to be activated. I agree fully with the Honorable Minister. They really need to be activated. They need to be given targets, basically, so that these are the number of youth you need to reach, and etc. So that, and then most importantly, I'm all for this kind of a thing. We don't want to impose, we don't want to tell. Let's hear it from the youth. Let's hear what they want to do. Let's hear what they want to do, how they want to do it. Give them, we say that the youth is the one so critical for bringing about change. But do we allow them that space to bring that change? Can we not try and do that? So this is our opportunity. Now you tell the youth that, okay, you have something to showcase, some talent, some this thing, and you can showcase it on the regional platform. This is what Youthconnekt will do. This is exactly what Youthconnekt will do. How can we use digitalization for supporting their partnerships, for supporting their outreach to the other youth across the continent? So these are the ideas, innovative ideas that you need to give us, the youth needs to give us, through you perhaps. So we need to set up a mechanism and a way that that can be done. And Honorable Minister, I'm going to actually raise a little bit of, it's a provocative issue. But this is something I've been seeing. We have these various events. UNFPA works so much with youth in terms of sexual reproductive health, and then even UNICEF, and we are also doing a lot of work in terms of our skills development, etc. All of those issues that we are looking at, Mani mentioned earlier. We've started working with the youth on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which would incentivize youth, particularly in the cross-border areas as well, to collaborate with the other youth. Now, what I have noted, and I may be wrong, but this is my observation, I see the same youth coming up time and again in various different fora, right? So if there's a youth advocate who's coming up, so he will be there in a sexual reproductive this thing. He would be there in the environment space. He would be there in the HIV space. I'm just giving you an example. And this is my observation. What about the 99 other youth? Where are they? So the ones who are more outgoing and are able to speak and articulate, they naturally, grab attention. Now, can we use these youth who are already there in our sphere to get the other 10 youth from within their circles? Can we look at doing this differently? It's not about only them grabbing any kind of resources, right? This is what we've also been seeing in the skills development programs. We used to have these challenges challenges, you know, those entrepreneurship challenges, we are giving out grants. It's the same people coming back over and over again. They are receiving grants from various agencies, organizations. It's the same people. But what are they doing in terms of pulling up others as well alongside? That is, I think, something we have missed. I mean, and this is also a self-reflection, because this is also something, as I said, we've observed. And this is where we need to be focusing on. So this is just from my perspective, one of the points. And this is where I would really request all of you to also come forward and assist us in coming up with a mechanism where we can go down to the grassroots level, where we are able to provide those equal opportunities to the youth, and a little bit more positive affirmation for the most vulnerable, the most marginalized youth as well. Because for us, all our work is built upon leave no one behind. That is why we at the UN, particularly, and in UNDP, we are focusing very much so on the informal sector, the informal youth. We are working with 10 youth in Estelan, right? How do we bring them up? What are the kind of things they need? That is what we are doing. We are trying to at least focus on those most left behind. The others who have education have that. And this is where we talk about the equality, or rather the equity of access. The equity of access is not there. How can we turn around our policies, programs to provide that equity of access? Another very critical issue which actually occupies everybody's mind is access to finance, right? Most you would say, oh, I have this capacity, but I don't have access to finance. Financial institutions, banks are risk averse. They do not give money. And sometimes the youth only needs a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $1 million for, you know, just getting it off the ground, whatever they're doing. I'm here talking about even their entrepreneurship. They may have the skills, they may have a product, but they are unable to go over with that. We have experimented even with that. We've given out grants. Some worked, some have prospered, others have not. But that's the other issue that we now need to address. So where you can give grants. So we need to come up with those innovative financing mechanisms, a financing window for youth. And that would be, Honorable Minister, another sort of a implementation aspect that we look at. What is that critical innovation financing window that we can do? We are working on an integrated national financing strategy as the UN. We are supporting the Ministry of Finance to do that, and that would have actually a lot of verticals, say for renewable energy, for the health sector, and all of those education sector, and then the youth. We can have that window as well, so that there's an integrated financing strategy whereby there is a flexibility in moving resources across sectors. At the moment, we have a very sort of a watertight system where an allocation to a ministry is made and it's just made. That Ministry of Agriculture, for instance, if it wants that youth program, is there a possibility for them to collaborate with the Ministry of Youth and say, okay, Ministry of Youth, you have this program and this is our program, let's go into it, let's pool our resources and deliver. So those are the kind of issues that I think from the government side, from the side of civil society and the private sector, which we need to address going forward. That is our role as the development partners, as the ministry, to facilitate that environment, to build that conducive environment. That is what we can do. But the actual work has to be done by you who are on the ground, by the youth themselves. And I think this is very important as a message, for that message to go out. The other area, very critical, we keep talking about it, right? And for us, actually, we are working also on this. These are the enablers that we work with as UNDP. We work with 3 enablers. Access to, that's innovative finance, innovation in itself, innovation, and the third one is digitalization. These are our 3 enablers that we use to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals. And so finance, how do we combine the innovation aspect with finance, and then also how do we promote that digitalization? The 4th Industrial Revolution, you're hearing, reading about it in the papers. There's a task force which has come up with recommendations. Where are the youth in that? We all know it. How the youth are much more proficient in terms of the use and implementation of technology. But are we having that kind of capacity within the country? How do we build that capacity? I'm glad the Ministry of Education is here, but now he's on the phone. Once again, so in terms of the curriculum, what are those kind of incentives we can give? How do we collaborate? How do we, is there anybody here from the private sector? No? That's another big problem. Because if they are not listening or not coming to the table, then we will have a problem in terms of employment, job creation, opportunities, etc. So I just wanted to make these few points. I think the earlier we've made already. Just to say that UNFP and UNDP are extremely privileged and proud to be associated in this effort, collaborating, coordinating, supporting the ministry and yourselves as well. And also we would like to actually take this forward in that sense, but we don't want to tell you what to do. We don't have all the answers also. It's not that we can't tell you what to do or we don't want to tell you to do, but we don't have all the answers. Those things have to grow, from the ground up. So we would really like to invite you from here on. You have seen Mano in action and you have seen our MC, and there are the other colleagues. They will reach out, and you are equally to reach out to them, to craft a proper program or a strategy in terms of implementation. It will feed into the Youthconnekt. It will speed up, accelerate the programs on the ground. You need to also review and come back. What I did not hear from you was the programs that you are implementing or what you are responsible for. How effective are they on the ground? What are the good practices and lessons that we can draw out from that and bring that into a suite of interventions as we move forward on the National Youth Policy, on implementing the National Youth Policy and achieving those 5 goals. We are not crafting a program for those 5 goals of Youthconnekt. They fit in very well already into the National Youth Policy. It's about, firstly, can we remove duplication? Can we work together better? Can we optimize our resource use? So this is actually a challenge and a task thrown out to all of you, basically. And that was the objective of having a pre-launch stakeholder consultation, so that when we launch the actual platform, I mean, we are coming up with, we have youth up front, we have a concrete strategy, we have measurable outcomes in that. So that's the kind of a challenge that I am throwing out to you. But having said that, I would really like to thank you and appreciate that you made the time to be here on this very important event or a meeting, because as I said, this was more of an interaction, and from here on we need to see something very concrete come out of it. And let me conclude by thanking once again the Honorable Deputy Minister of Sports, Youth and National Service, and also by reiterating the support of the UN. specifically UNDP and UNFPA, to the government of Namibia and the youth of this country, in taking this forward to the realization of the national strategy for transformation. So thank you very much.
Very much, Director of this program. I'm not so sure what to say anymore because the interactive session really covered it all. But I think in the interest, especially of the colleagues who joined us late, they might be able to pick up something. It's a distinct honor and pleasure to be part of this stakeholder engagement, which is aimed at popularizing the Youthconnekt Namibia chapter, and as well as an opportunity that's presented to the Namibian youth. This is because our mandate as the ministry is focused towards the promotion of youth empowerment initiatives as it is expounded in our National Youth Policy Version 3. I remember when we launched the youth policy, most of the questions that came out from the youth is that how are you going to implement it? And I think we are witnessing policy in action, because that youth policy really anchored on coordinated framework. It places onus on the players who are involved in youth matters to really provide a comprehensive platform. It's therefore our duty to ensure that we join hands with the development partners, our civil society, and other progressive organizations in youth development. I'm therefore pleased to see that we have stakeholders that have joined us today in this very important engagement, of which the main purpose really is to create synergies amongst youth programs which will inform the activities of the Youthconnekt chapter. I think this is what I want to underline, because that was the purpose of today's engagement. So it's not for us to come and be grinded about what do you think should be in the, what place do we have, but rather we want to create synergies, because remember we are all serving the same population. As the youngest member of the Namibia, of the Youthconnekt Africa, I'm glad that we have taken this initiative to engage stakeholders in this daunting but yet rewarding task of empowering and investing in the youth. I'm pleased and I'm happy that finally we have reached the stage when Namibia was admitted. As I was narrating the journey, that it was not so easy, and my ED was telling me that no, I must focus, I must emphasize that the ministry is the one that applied. So this was really also an initiative from the ministry, because we want to upscale our efforts to mainstream youth activities at various levels in all organizations. Adopted by the African Union, the Youthconnekt Africa is a pan-African program that's established to coordinate and to accelerate relevant solutions for youth socio-economic development and to support intergovernmental knowledge exchange, especially on policies, programs, and partnership. The Youthconnekt was operationalized in 2020, and the hub aims to contribute to the achievement of Africa's SDG mandate, the AU 2063 and the AU Youth Chapter. Now, maybe in the interest of those ones who missed some of the conversation in terms of what is this Youthconnekt, what are these initiatives, what is it that it tries to achieve? Now, through the National Youthconnekt initiatives, the hub accomplishes the mandate by coordinating a global network to create a continental ecosystem of African youth, sharing experience and knowledge on program and policy design, youth initiatives, and I'm happy that Mano took us through some best practices, some success stories across the continent. The hub also provides a conduit for resources at scale and data on youth empowerment initiatives. In this regard, it's important to emphasize that the Youthconnekt initiative provides the youth with a platform to connect, to engage, and to collaborate on a host of issues that is ranging from governance issues, skills development issue. I think we spoke about skills and education at length, social and environmental issues at the continental platform. We often hear that the world is shrinking. I think so is Africa shrinking. And I think this is really just an opportunity that our youth can tap into this knowledge and access and be part of the region's agenda. It's a comprehensive approach. It focuses on youth empowerment in all the elements. And I'm happy also that Ms. Batia touched on the initiative that is also to provide access to finance. Because I know this is often what is coming out as a challenge, especially when you speak to the youth. They will tell you, look, I have this idea. How do I realize the idea that I have? I have this innovation. How do I bring it to fruition? But the only challenge most of the time is the access to finance. Africa's utmost resources, as we know, we have the largest population comprises of the youth, and Namibia is particularly not lacking in that aspect. Therefore, I applaud all the institutions hereby represented today, especially the ones that are playing in the space of the youth development. There's an agency of the participation of youth at the top end of our economy. Thus, as government, we have put together a number of policies, interventions geared towards bringing our youth in the mainstream of the economy. The areas of focus for Youthconnekt, as outlined before, really fully align also with our national youth policy. More specifically on youth empowerment and socio-economic transformation. As a ministry responsible for youth affairs, we believe that enhancing youth economic participation through entrepreneurship, job opportunities, and other relevant integration interventions cannot be achieved by government alone, but a shared responsibility that calls for partnership between government, private sector, and the broader civil society. We should strengthen ties, linkages, and coordinate existing youth initiatives. I think this is also some of the challenges that came out, what is going to be new with the Youthconnekt platform. In this case, the Youthconnekt then provides us with that opportunity to connect the dots. It's therefore my plea to all stakeholders in all sectors to engage each other and the youth in all our endeavors to ensure that youth are fully part of shaping and molding the future direction of their lives as drivers rather than just passengers. We look forward to the anticipated 5th Youthconnekt Summit, which, as I'm informed, and Ms. Patia also indicated, is planned in October. It will take place in Rwanda, under the theme Accelerating Investments in Youth, Resilient Youth, Resilient Africa. So Namibia will participate as a new member for the first time, and I was informed, and I'm very excited on that opportunity that UNDP will be supporting youth, 2 or 3 youth to participate in the Youthconnekt. So the youth must watch the space. When the call for applications are open, please, as they always say, space is characterized by occupation. Even if it's created, but we are not occupying the spaces, they will be missing out on the opportunity. I'm really excited, and I appreciate all the comments, the questions that were asked, the very difficult questions, and we were taking note. I see that our executive director had a whole 3-page that he's written. So ours really is to continuously seek ways. How is it that we can better empower our youth? How is it that we can better promote our youth? In so doing, we'll be implementing our youth policy. And I really look forward to future engagements. We want the Youthconnekt really to come and accelerate the implementation of youth policy to come and accelerate the implementation of our national plan. Thank you for your attention.
First of all, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the Honorable Deputy Minister for your keynote remarks, which has provided insight and direction regarding Namibia's position and priorities for joining the Youthconnekt Africa family. I also would like to extend a word of appreciation and thanks to the UNDP resident representative and the UNFPA acting resident representative for gracing this occasion and for providing an enlightening account of the Youthconnekt platform. The presentation from the UNDP colleague provides context within which the Namibian Youthconnekt platform will be arranged. As a ministry, we are grateful that you could find time in your busy schedules to participate in this very important engagement, which paves the way for the initial launch of the Youthconnekt chapter for Namibia. After our acceptance into this platform in May 2022. Master of Ceremonies, it's our conviction as a ministry that youth empowerment initiatives require an integrated approach. Hence, we are grateful that as stakeholders in youth empowerment, you all have positively responded to our invitation as your contribution to this noble cause are highly valued and appreciated. I'm further humbled to extend our warm appreciation and thanks to all senior government officials that are here, heads of civil society organizations and youth organizations, for your support towards the realization of this engagement meeting. Your presence here today signifies your commitment and supporting and complementing central government's efforts to addressing the challenge of youth unemployment and youth empowerment in our country. Thus, on behalf of the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service, I sincerely thank you all for your support. Furthermore, I would like to express our hearty thanks and gratitude to all the members of the Steering Committee of the National Youth Policy that are here. I recognize our colleagues from the NPC, from the Ministry of Education, Art and Culture, Urban and Rural Development, Namibia Statistics Agency as members of our National Steering Committee on the National Youth Policy. I'm also very thankful to our staff and members, staff members and focal staff from the UNDP and UNFPA for their constant commitment and contribution to the organization of this engagement meeting. Indeed, the message on the future of the Youthconnekt Namibia has been well communicated, and it's our sincere hope that the opportunities which comes with this platform as presented here today will go a long way in addressing the socio-economic challenges faced by the Namibian youth. Last but not least, Master of Ceremonies, I would like to particularly express my gratitude to the country leadership of our development partners, namely the UNDP and the UNFPA, and other key stakeholders, for your continuous support in our ongoing efforts in the area of youth development. Your financial and technical support in various projects that we continue to implement complement us as a country to move closer to achieving the intended outcomes of the UN Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, which places emphasis on building a dynamic, sustainable, innovative and people-centered economies to provide, and I emphasize, youth employment, women economic empowerment, and decent work for all. This platform undoubtedly is a building block. The Youthconnekt platform is a building block towards the realization of this agenda. Finally, I thank you all for gracing this occasion and for successfully participating in this engagement meeting.